Welcome back to another GT Homes exclusive. Our investors often ask, how did the condo market become the rental market? Great question. To start, let's go back to the mid-2000s. Since Ontario's Places to Grow Act began in 2005, the types of homes being built have changed. This shift from building outwards to building upwards has drastically impacted the overall real estate market, particularly within 25 locations known as the urban growth centers. Urban growth centers are targeted areas across Ontario where we can expect to see future homes and jobs. They cover a wide range of regions, from the region of Niagara all the way down to Peterborough. Most of these urban growth centers are located in the GTA, including 5 in the city of Toronto. Thanks to the Places to Grow Act, in the last 2 decades, we went from building a majority of low-rises to building a majority of high-rises. With this shift, we've also faced certain challenges, such as longer timelines for developing and constructing condos. For example, the average time to develop and build a house is 1 to 2 years. However, the average time to develop and build a condo is 8 to 10 years. This has led to severe housing shortages. Additionally, other shortages in the real estate industry have created a need for immigration to boost the workforce. Having more people coming into the country means there is an increased need for housing, which then becomes a cycle of low supply and high demand. This situation is also why properties have become less affordable, leading more people toward renting instead of buying their homes. Currently, about 65% of people living in New York City are renters, and 35% are homeowners. Meanwhile, in Toronto, the opposite is true, with about 65% of homeowners and 35% renters. However, there's a growing number of renters here, which shows we are on track to become much like New York City. Another challenge that we face is the lack of purpose-built rental units in the GTA. These units, also called PBRs, but for simplicity, we will call them apartment buildings, make up around 40% of the rentals in the GTA, but many of them are old and in need of updates or repairs. Approximately 224,000 apartment units were built in the 1960s and 1970s. If we compare that to 23,000 apartment units built in the 2000s and 2010s, we can say that roughly 90% of the current stock of apartment buildings in the GTA are more than 40 years old. You may be asking, why are there so few apartment buildings under construction? This is mainly due to high cost and low returns that discourage developers from building apartment buildings. So where do renters go for newer units and more housing options? This is where landlords and the secondary rental market come in. Homeowners can rent out condo units, basement apartments, and spare rooms, adding to Canada's rental supply. This secondary rental market is an important part of the GTA's housing inventory, as condo units make up 21% of rentals, while units in detached or attached houses make up another 25%. Since new condo builds far outpace new apartment buildings as much as 7-to-1 currently, we can start to see how the condo market has become the rental market. Housing shortages continue to be a major issue in Canada today and will continue into the future. Immigration is expected to add 500,000 people each year to our population. More than a third of those newcomers choose to live in the GTA, where more job opportunities are available. Of course, most of the people coming in will start off as renters as they work to establish themselves, so the rental supply plays an important part in Canada's growth. And we haven't even touched on the topic of international students. There's even more demand coming in from post-secondary schools. Toronto is home to 3 major universities that welcome over 170,000 full-time students each year. On-campus housing can supply enough beds for less than 10% of students, which means many of them will also become renters. The apartment rental market cannot meet this growing demand. Apartment rentals only account for 50% of housing construction in Ontario. This is where condo investors come in. Without buyers, condos cannot be built, And without construction, the supply problem will worsen while demand continues to grow. The secondary rental market relies heavily on new condos to fulfill a need in the GTA so that people can live near schools and jobs. Investors should be aware of how the housing market got to where it is today, where it will go in the future, and how they can help. By purchasing condo units, they're adding inventory to the secondary rental market, which means they can help provide a home to a student or a newcomer. And since the demand for homes won't go away anytime soon, investors can also be assured that their investments are safe. Thank you for watching another GTA Homes exclusive. Remember to subscribe and to visit us at gtahomes.com.